Better Listen Podcast, euer Sprachrohr für elektronische Tanzmusik und Berliner Nachtleben. Was ihr gern hört, zu was ihr gern tanzt, was euch bewegt. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Better Listen podcast. I find myself in sunny Barcelona at the moment, and this is the first English-speaking feature as I'm with my friend Alex from the UK. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Liz. How's it going?
1 year ago, we met in South America while we were both traveling for a couple months, and we actually met in the desert of Bolivia. And I remember that there was different travel groups as we all were going in jeeps through the desert, and we were having little breaks in between, and there was one island full of cactuses. It was a cactus island called Isla Incahuasi, and there we had a short break, and I hear someone speaking about Kit Kat, and then I got really curious, and I turned around and there was you. Do you remember that?
I know. And if you think of all the conversations and all the moments that we crossed paths, it was kind of crazy that at that moment we were both talking about Kit Kat, and that's what got us talking to each other, and that's how we met.
And there were so many people actually, and so many different groups, and so many different stops during the day that you would take with those travel groups. Mm-hmm. But exactly in that moment, you would start talking about Kit Kat.
Crazy.
Because you went there, I don't know, a year before, right? Or something?
Yeah, it was around a year before. I had got into techno music and things like that, and I'd researched some clubs that sounded like it'd be a completely different experience. Kit Kat for obvious reasons. And yeah, I went. Had an amazing time, one of the best nights of my life, really. Came back from Berlin and Kit Kat, really, with my mind blown wide open. And yeah, it was awesome. So to have met you and talked about it, it was great. It really was. Opened my mind to a lot of things, musically and all sorts. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Let us come back to the Berlin topic, or in general the electronic music part, a little bit later. I want to talk about the experience that we had during that time, because we also decided to spend some time together in Chile, mm-hmm. and we went to San Pedro de Atacama together, and we went on a stargazing tour and did some shopping in that little town, and it was a really nice atmosphere. I think it was a great time. I will never forget our experience there. I think one thing that I will never forget in my life is when we went into that hot spring that one night.
Unbelievable. That was, for me, that was a trip highlight. I don't think I've ever seen that many stars in my life. There was do you remember? There was a thunderstorm on the horizon, and we could see the lightning coming down.
Yeah, it was insane.
Oh, breathtaking.
We were in the middle of the desert. It got so cold during the night. And our travel guides told us that we would we had the possibility to jump into this hot spring. So everyone got basically undressed and then covered themselves to run from where we slept to that hot spring. Mm-hmm. And then you didn't have much time, but since it was so cold, everyone just basically jumped into that hot spring. Mm-hmm. And there we met again.
We did.
So we met during the day, but we didn't exchange numbers. We didn't even have service there anyway. And then there was you again in that pool. In the pool,
yeah. We met twice. I remember we had a beer together. Yeah, it was amazing. What an experience, and pure chance, purely by luck that we bumped into each other twice. Shared travel plans, realised we're going to be going to the same places, and got to share the following days together in Chile, like you said, in the north. Mm. So yeah,
we played ping pong together.
You won. Did you win?
Yeah, several times.
you kicked my ass.
Yeah.
That's right, in Chile.
In Chile, and then I went more towards the Pacific Ocean. And then where did you actually go from there?
I went south. I went down to the capital, to Santiago and Valparaiso. Mm-hmm. And then on to Argentina for Christmas, where I was meeting a good friend.
Ah, right. Yeah, good times. And now you moved to Barcelona, and I'm here to visit you. And you actually also, by now, you play some gigs here and there in Barcelona. So why don't we just tune into a set that you played in one of the WeWork co-working spaces? This one was at Ciudad de Granada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When was it?
This was early in the summer. The co-working space hosts outdoors events. They have some great buildings with terraces and rooftops and things like that. And I've been lucky enough to be invited by them to play a couple sets. And this is a clip from one of them. One of the first ones I did in the summer when I first moved here. I was very lucky to do it, and it was a great experience. A great way to first get my foot in the door and start playing, really.
Let's tune in. So, when it comes to electronic music in general, how did it all start with you?
Okay, so we're going to have to rewind the clock a little bit. I used to work on private yachts, and I took a job in Hong Kong. I moved to Hong Kong. It must have been around 5 years ago now, something like that. Yeah, quite some time ago. No, I'm telling a lie. Maybe 4 years. Anyway, joined this boat, and I met a guy called James Branton, and still a friend of mine today, great guy. James, we'd come out on deck in the morning, if you imagine, cold morning. James would have his speaker, and the first thing he would put on, techno.
Really?
And in that moment of my life, in that era, I was not big into electronic music at all.
Was he British as well?
Yes, from Leeds, from the north. And he would play techno. I'll never forget Tube and Burger. Tube and Burger, because that is what he always used to play. Always used to play Tube and Burger. And initially, I couldn't stand it. I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, it just didn't do anything to me. I didn't get it. It didn't click with me. I used to play many years ago. I used to play bass professionally. So I've always enjoyed anything with a bit of like groove to it and a bit of music. But slowly but surely, as James kept up with this relentless Tube and Burger electronic music, I started to come around to it. I started to warm to it. And then I found myself asking him to put, oh no, James, put that song back on. Hey, what's the song called which goes da 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 or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so bit by bit it got through, and I started to enjoy it. I started to appreciate for what it was. He used to take me on nights out to electronic shows and things like that. I remember we went to one which had a live DJ with a violinist on a rooftop in Hong Kong, which was really cool. And it just started to get me that way. And before I knew it, I found myself listening to it as much with James and venturing off and finding my own sort of take on it. I think James is a bit more hardcore than I am. He likes harder stuff. But I found myself getting into it more and more. Then I started creating my own playlists through it, separating it into different like strengths, I suppose. A bit softer, some funk stuff, house, whatever. Then I found myself with these big playlists, which when I then left that yacht and moved back to where I was based at the time, which was Mallorca, friends would come over and I'd play these playlists at house parties, and that's sort of the very first step.
In Mallorca, it's also a very big thing, right? Since Ibiza is right next to it, and people come to party, people come to have a good time. Yeah,
definitely. Mallorca's got, especially in the summer, it's got a good party vibe to it. You can definitely go out and let your hair down and have fun. They've had some. I mean, Clapton comes. He's been there a few times this summer. They have the Mallorca Live Festival. Some DJs have been there.
Oh, nice.
Prodigy have been there as well. So yeah, it's getting there. It's not on the Ibiza level, but it's getting there. Slowly but surely. So
you moved to Mallorca like 4 or 5 years ago, you said?
Yeah, moved to Mallorca around 5 years ago to start work on the yachts. Did some work there, then eventually took a job in Hong Kong.
How long were you in Hong Kong for?
Not actually that long, only for around 4 months. That was long enough to get hooked, really. And every day with James.
And Tube and Burger.
At Tube and Burger and James, yeah. James, Tube and Burger. That I hit a point where, I really got into it and started to come around to it and enjoy it more.
Now that I came here to see you, I saw that you bought a deck.
Yeah.
That is quite new. You didn't have that before, as far as I know. And how did it get to that point? Who talked you into it, or gave you inspiration on buying a deck?
So another very good friend of mine, hopefully she'll listen to this and can take some credit. Amelia, my friend Amelia, she'd seen me hosting people at my house. I used to live in a really cool place in Mallorca. Our house was a bit of a party house, and people always used to come to our place. We had the space and things like that. She really pushed me to buy a set of decks instead of just these playlists that I would play, and telling people, hey, listen to this bit, listen to this drop, listen to the way the synth builds, listen to the way the bass is syncopated against whatever. She was like, Alex, you're really into this. Why don't you get yourself some decks? And initially I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'll be rubbish at it. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it. But I went for it in the end, and I bought a very basic two-channel mixer, and literally I plugged it into my Mac, got hold of some music from a friend, and just started pushing buttons and figuring out what each button did.
YouTube tutorials, probably.
Yeah, a bit of YouTube, bit of home DJ, to be honest, to begin with, and then the parties that we used to host, instead of me playing Spotify playlists, I would mix that. Really enjoyed it. Really fell in love with it. The feeling to be able to give energy to the crowd and see people react to a song and sort of lose themselves in music a little bit was great. Very addictive, really good fun. And so it started from there, really. And the decks that you've seen here are a recent upgrade. Now that I've been doing it a little bit in the co-working spaces, and I've played one or two sets here and there. Away from that, I wanted to have more creative freedom. So I've now upgraded to a 4-channel mixer. Teaching myself that step by step, just like the 2-channel one, and seeing where that goes, but enjoying every minute so far. So it's really
super interesting.
Yeah, it's
nice.
Really Amelia that I owe a lot of credit to for giving me a positive push.
Shout out to Amelia. You talked about that you were also booked by a little festival.
Yeah.
The Feminist Art Festival?
Yeah, it was a group of Argentinian girls that got together, made a creative arts agency, I suppose, called Labia. I think we say it differently. And they had like a 4-day festival for San Juan, which is a festival here in Barcelona. And they said to me, hey, why don't you come down? We've got some of the equipment. If you just bring your decks, bring your music, and play for a couple of hours. And the set was around 3 hours. It was open air in the summer, really nice. There was people all sat around on the grass. So it started off quite chill, bit of lounge music, which I really enjoy. Some house, and then progressed a bit harder. And as it got later into the night, got into techno, and it really picked up. It was great. One of the best experiences I've had so far. Because it was open air, people would be walking past and would hear it.
Oh yeah, nice.
And just come along and join in. And it was
cool.
wicked. We had by the end of it, there was a good 70 people maybe. And
for a start, it's quite nice.
I was on cloud 9. I was loving life. My life peaked. It felt great.
Yeah, why don't we tune in to a short part of your set at the Feminist Art Festival by the Labia art group. So here it is. Have fun.
That keeps on burning your desire.
So you mentioned that you've been to Berlin before. What did you think of it? How was the experience for you as someone who has never been to Berlin before, right?
I'd never been to Germany before.
Oh, Germany.
And I'd actually been seeing a German girl, and we planned to go on holiday together there. She'd never been to Berlin either. It didn't work out, and I ended up going by myself. I was attracted by the history of Berlin. It goes without saying what a historical city that city is. And also its reputation for being a centre of electronic music and techno.
How many days did you spend?
I had a long weekend there. So I think I went on the Friday, I left on the Sunday night. went as one person and came back as something else.
For real?
Yeah, it was amazing. It really opened my eyes to so many things, like a really unique way of living. Berlin, you know, you could find people walking down the street dressed in a plastic bag, and it's totally cool. Like
Yes.
no one minded, and that person feels empowered and great to do it. And I loved that. I thought it was amazing. It really opened my mind. I was lucky enough to go to Kit Kat, which you know, not everyone gets in. It's not always a guarantee that you're going to get in. And through whatever reason, I was lucky enough to go and get in. And it was like walking into a mini subculture. And even though I'm not German, I'm English. It was my first time there. I don't speak any German. I'm sure I wasn't dressed correctly for Kit Kat.
What did you wear?
Oh God! Well, I had no idea really. I was a bit naive, and as I went in, they asked for my clothes and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I handed over, you know, jacket, shirt, and that. So I spent the night in my underwear, in my Zara white underwear, whilst raving to techno, which was wicked. I loved it.
Yeah.
But what blew my mind was the people that were in there were so welcoming, friendly, non-judgmental. It doesn't matter if you were tall, short, black, white, yellow, thin, one leg, three legs, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is.
It didn't matter. And they really like took the time to get to know me, to ask my name, ask how I'm getting on, if I'm by myself, do they want to hang out with me? Do they want to sit, do I want to sit with them, you know? And I passed 17 hours or whatever it was in that club.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was incredible. And there was, you know,
For first time? Yeah, that's intense.
yeah, people were like, oh, you've been here before. I was like, no, first time. So, but they really looked after me. You know, there was 55-year-old couple, successful business people that come there for the weekend to just let loose and be who they want to be. And I thought that was incredible. I thought it was wonderful. I really did, really did. And I left there feeling like I'd just seen something really special.
Nice. Yeah, that's how it should be. I think this is also what the club is aiming for. You know, it's I've never seen something like this actually anywhere else in the world. So yeah, it is a very special place for sure. But you also went to some bars in Berlin, right? Or only Kit Kat as for a club, and then some bars?
Yeah, that was the only club I went to. But some of the bars, I can't remember. There was one, I think it's closed down now, but I can't remember the name of it. It was on a canal. You have to go down some steps. It's literally in line with the water.
Club der Visionäre.
Yes, I think that's it.
Visionaries, yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah, and that was amazing as well.
It's still there.
Are we still there?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm thinking of another one. But it was, anyway, a club.
There were rumors that it was closed down because there was a fire.
Right.
But as far as I know, they managed to rebuild most of it, and
Cool.
it's still going. Yeah.
Yeah. I went there for a drink with some friends and someone I met there to start the night before we headed to Kit Kat. But yeah, I just love just everyone's so welcoming and friendly, and it really is, you know, given the history and it expressing itself after all that repression,
Exactly.
to be able to explode into all this color and expression and freedom of speech and everything, it really is reflected in fashion, in people's attitudes, and I saw and felt firsthand what it's like to receive that sort of welcome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember sitting on the plane going back to Mallorca, dying to tell my friends what had just happened and what I'd been through and experienced and heard and danced to, and people that I'd met.
It changed you to the better, you'd say?
Oh, totally.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm a much more respectful and open person because of the things.
Crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I loved it.
Yeah.
Great. I fully recommend it to anyone.
It's so different. Like, it's very special to hear this because, as for me, I was born there. You know, I grew up there, so to me, it's normal. And then when you go to places, you see and you feel. Not everyone is that open. Not everyone is so aware about what is freedom, how important is freedom. And so to me, I grew up in a family where we always talk about, you know, how it used to be in the past. My parents grew up in the GDR, so they weren't allowed to say out loud what they think. They weren't allowed to travel wherever they wanted to. You know, we met in Bolivia, which is already insane. They never had the chance to do that when they were young. So they always encouraged me to go and tell me, you know, this is not normal. Like, there is, you know, still parts in the world where people can't go because they're poor, or can't go because they live in dictatorship. And so yeah, you can really feel this vibe today in Berlin. I realize it every time when I'm somewhere else.
For sure.
So it's something I treasure, and of course we have to value and we have to we should always kind of keep, and
treasure it, because
treasure
it really is
for sure.
it really is a magical place, and so accepting and welcoming, and no matter where you are, where you're from. If anyone listening, if they get the chance, I would fully recommend it. I went by myself, which is a challenge as well.
Of course,
But when you're by yourself, you're forced out of your comfort zone. And some of the people I met that evening, some of them I'm still in touch with, and they came to visit me in Barcelona. So
here we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Going back to Barcelona, which is where we are right now, which is also a very beautiful place. You've also played on some rooftop sessions and did some sets, and one of them was also at another WeWork location, which is in Glories. When was that?
That was again in the summer. A month or so later, it was my second or third set. I've done a few in Glories actually. I should send a thank you to WeWork really for giving me so many opportunities.
Oh yeah.
So big up WeWork.
Shout out to WeWork.
That was my second or third set. I was getting a bit more comfortable now, getting more confidence, starting to know my music a lot better. The mistakes I'd made in the previous sets, I'd mastered, and I knew what not to do again or how to avoid those mistakes. So I went into this one a lot more confident, more prepared, and again, I just love it. I have the best time being able to give energy. I always say it's like bringing a feel-good vibe. You have the power as a DJ to bring a feel-good vibe, and that's something I've put it on some of my social media tags and things like that. That to be able to give a feel-good vibe to people it's like a gift, really. You give that energy.
Of course,
I really felt it in that second one. The very first one, I was so nervous, barely looked up from the screen.
Aww, yeah.
But now I'm getting more confident and getting to grips with the equipment and things like that. Starting to get into it more. I think performance is a huge part of it. I mentioned briefly earlier, I used to play bass professionally, and that's all about the energy. You go to see a famous guitarist or whatever, and they could be the best musician in the world, but if they just stand there like a stone and don't do anything, there's no energy. So for me to be able to get into it and show your passion and give energy and bring a feel good vibe, for me that's so important, and that's what I really felt I got at that rooftop. I have saved from that set a small 5-second clip or 10-second clip of me dropping.
I was gonna say,
dropping it. It was a Hot Since '82 track, which is one of my favorites. Veins. I absolutely love that song, and I watch it back when I need a little kick of happiness, because it's such a good memory. I loved it. And that's what it's all about for me, really.
I was gonna say, you don't need to look at your screen 24/7 now when you play, because when you guys are checking out this video on Alex's Instagram, you can see that he is already quite the performer by now. So
getting there, step by step.
Getting there, yeah. So why don't we try to grasp some feel good vibe now and tune into this session of Al Francis Rooftop Series.
There is a big difference between I think there's subtle differences between Barcelona and Berlin. Barcelona is very international, and you can really find all sorts of nights, all sorts of well, I'm sure you can in Berlin as well, really. But Berlin, I feel like it's a way of life. It really is. To jump back to the Kit Kat story, I remember the Sunday morning, a guy came in who looked freshly showered, hair done perfectly, smelt great, And he sat next to me and was like, wow, you look wonderful. Like,
Yeah.
where have you appeared? And I was like, oh, I've just had some breakfast and I've come to party. It's like,
Yeah.
what, on a Sunday morning?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's really normal. So that blew my mind. Well, you don't have that in Barcelona. People go through, well, I haven't found it yet. If anyone knows that club, please let me know. We go through from the previous night into the morning and then maybe an after party and things like that. But I've never seen anything where they come fresh from home to join a
breakfast.
Yeah. So that for me was a real
get ready.
Yeah, it's a real like way of life where I don't think Barcelona is quite committed in that way. Berlin is. Barcelona, not to say it's got some great places to go out. I've been lucky enough to go to quite a few clubs here.
Where did you go to? Because I've only been out. I've been here a couple years ago last time, which was for the Sonar Festival.
Yeah, okay.
And there I went to La Terraza and some other place that I don't remember the name of, but I saw Joseph Capriati, Len
cool.
Faki. So that was a really great vibe. But it was also pretty commercial, I have to say, unfortunately. So I haven't really been to any underground clubs here in Barcelona.
Okay.
Where have you been?
I'll list a few and then I'll give you a bit of info about them. I've been to La Terraza, like you have. I've been to Café del Mar, Apollo, Marula, which I went to recently, Macarena, Input, which is ranked in the top 10 clubs in all of Spain. It's shaped like a dome. The whole inside is like a dome, and the speakers go all the way around the wall. So once drops kick in and things like that, it's big.
Wow.
So if you like your music, it's a good place to go. And Laut, which is German, right?
Yeah.
Loud, for loud?
Yeah, for loud.
There you go. That's the only German word I know. And that was the first place I went to. Laut is very local, all Catalan or Spanish people there, which is something I'm a fan of. I like that.
Yeah.
Not really commercial. A lot of up-and-coming DJs. So you get some really interesting different styles, different nights. Some of the DJs that are there I've not heard of before. Input was amazing. I saw Artbat there. Artbat are a Ukrainian duo. They're doing really well actually. They're starting to feature in some big festivals and things like that, and they were unbelievable. I really loved them. Had like a trancey sort of melodic feel to them, but still techno. I thought they were great. I really loved them.
Yeah, you showed me some new music, some new tracks of them earlier, so I also really liked them. They seem to be very cool.
Yeah, I've dropped a few of those in some sets. Macarena is again quite. It's a bit like Loud, quite small, local, but again very fun, very intimate club. La Terraza is next to Input, and it's part of something called Poble Español, which is like a small, I want to say like town.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the other location I've been to.
Well, there's a couple clubs in that. It's like a little town on a hill, and you go in. It's one big entrance, and then depending on which ticket you have for which night for which club, depends where you go. So they could have different DJs on, but the best thing about it is it's a whole little village.
Yeah, I've been there. It was amazing. It was open air, and Dixon played, so it was.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty big event, also for doing Sonar.
Yeah.
But yeah, Poble Español is great.
Definitely worth checking out if you're in Barcelona. Apollo, I saw Rufus actually, Rufus du Sol, which
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think they went to Berlin after.
Yeah, I also went to the concert in Berlin. Yeah.
I sung, actually, I went with Amelia, who I mentioned earlier. I sung along the whole. We were like the mega fans in there.
Oh.
We sung along to every song. It was so good. I love Rufus.
The concert was amazing. It was great.
Very good,
they did a great job.
But yeah, no, Barcelona's got a good variety as well. I'm still venturing out to find the underground ones. There's one called Moog, Moog, which I'm trying to get myself to. Darker techno, which is something I'm getting into at the moment. So I'd like to check it out at some point. I haven't had a chance yet. But yeah, I would recommend Input, Lout, and Moog from what I've heard from other people.
Sounds very good. And if you don't feel like going out to a club, you also like to do some home sessions, right? Here in your flat share, because you have a really nice living room. Let's just listen to a quick snippet of one of your home sessions by El Francis. if you're in town and you don't feel like going out but still want to listen to some good music, why don't you just hit him up?
Slide into my DMs, hit me up. Yeah, we can make it happen.
Sounds very cool. Yeah. No, Alex, I have to say thank you. It was a great time. We also had a magnificent day today.
It was good fun, huh?
We took some pictures for my podcast. We took some pictures for your SoundCloud, for your for your Instagram. And yeah, let's just keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully it'll be onwards and upwards for me. I'm working on some of my stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, step by step, I'm hoping to get myself out there, get playing more really. Normal life can get in the way sometimes, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. But yeah, I'm excited about what's coming around the corner for me, and yeah, step by step trying to improve. So thank you for your help, and thank you so much for having me here on your show.
Yeah, of course.
I feel very lucky. That's really kind of you. So
and
thanks
next
very much.
time, of course, in Berlin, let's see what club.
Yeah, we need to tick off a new one for sure, definitely.
That'd be nice. Some play in a foreign country.
Oh, love it.
Yeah,
love it.
And then maybe when you come next time, we can just do a little catch up on this podcast.
I would love to. Be my pleasure.
Sounds very good. Thank you so much. And please tune in next time as well when we say, you better listen. Goodbye.
Bye.